fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go! Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Everything comes down to 6 races over 6 weeks, and there are only 15 spaces available. This may just be the highest strength of field ever, 8,700. You need 8,000 iRacing just to make it here to the Hockenheimring, to the National A layout, and to the first round of the Porsche Heuer Esports Supercup qualifying series. This is the first rung on the ladder if you want to put yourself in the Esports Supercup, and SimSpeed TV is the place to get everything up to speed in terms of where amazing racing can happen. I'm Jake Sperry, Jay Kennedy, along with me for the ride as one of the most all-important qualifying series looks to get itself underway then here tonight, today, wherever you are around the world. And Jay, this Hockenheimring track has seen all sorts of racing, and of course they race in front of the memory of one of the most legendary drivers to have ever graced Formula One in the form of Jim Clark.
Yeah, hello everybody, and welcome along to what is one of the most exciting broadcast series we've had here on SimSpeed. It's been a little while since we've broadcast the qualifying series. Of course, broadcasted a couple of years ago, but this is going to be very, very entertaining, very cool to watch. Looking forward to it. Lots of pressure for the drivers and such a huge iRating to make it in. And it's going to be a very, very fun schedule and a very fun season. Very short, but it's going to be entertaining.
It certainly will. Of course, they have the run to the Parabolica. Of course, turn 2, the Einfahrt Parabolica. As they go through, they cut before the Spitzkehrer, move to the Mercedes left-hand 90-degree corner. And then, of course, they've got that fabled arena, Mobile 1, the Sachs curve. And then, of course, the Sud curve to end the lap, the Nord curve to start the lap here at the Hockenheimring. So this is a track that a lot of drivers will look to try and understand very well. I would say here, Jay, one of the staples of the European racing scene.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It is a staple. It's a cool track. It's going to be very, very entertaining. It's going to be cool with a little shortcut going through it, but the schedule as a whole is a real short track heaven, I guess. It's well-known tracks, but for the most part, short layouts, short configurations, which is going to be very, very interesting throughout the season.
It certainly will. And there is your championship in terms of where we will go. Silverstone International will be 1 week from today. The Red Bull Ring, the national layout, will be a very short track, so it will be about positioning there. Watkins Glen's classic layout will be very interesting in terms of finding your right placement. The Nürburgring Sprint Strecke, and then the big one to end out the season, the Imola Grand Prix layout, and that does feel slightly different compared to all the other tracks. A big, long circuit to finish off what has been a number of shorter style tracks to start off this season.
Yeah, exactly right. It's going to be a very, very different layout in comparison to the rest. It almost feels like the odd one out in the look of those tracks, with them all being shorter layouts and shorter configurations. And it's going to be interesting to see the contrast between that, and the shorter layouts are going to be very, very interesting and provide some very tight, close racing throughout.
We absolutely will. And of course, qualifying right now is underway. This is what they're racing today, 22 laps, so 50 miles on the docket, 81 kilometers, no pit stops needed, 2 laps and 8 minutes qualifying to set the grid. As is tradition when it comes to an iRacing official event, most, if not all series, have themselves a 2-lap format in closed qualifying to set the fastest time possible. Overall, it is going to be a very important day. 26 drivers then here for this opening round, and many splits, as we've said, and a very strong split right now, moving through into the arena section. goes the R8G number 2 of Andre Melchers, then looking to get this run through the very, very incredibly important Sachs curve corner, running through the lefts and the rights to end the lap. And this is the very tight and twisty section where you have to hold on towards the end of a lap, Jay.
Yeah, very difficult to maintain the line there and make sure you don't run that little bit wide. He's done a decent lap there, 1:24.0. We're looking at high 23s at the moment for qualifying, so that puts him 12th at this stage as he finishes his run. Not many drivers left out there on track actually to do a lap, so that may be qualifying done.
He is the final driver out on track, so that is qualifying done. And 12th place, he was only 2/10 off of pole position, which shows you just how incredibly tight everything is. Let's take ourselves then to the starting grid and see how everybody is going to stack up today here at the Hockenheimring for the opening round of the championship. And it will be car number 8 on pole position for the Heuer Simsport team, and that will be Lasse Bach, who will be on pole position. Luke Bennett for Team Redline will be alongside. Oscar Irina will start from 3rd with Luca Kita in 4th position overall. Simone Maria Marcheno for Altus will line up 5th with Mohamed Ibrahim in 6th position, the Malaysian driver. In 7th is Maggio Hansen with Valentin Mandanak in 8th position. Dylan Burse will start 9th along with Christopher Dambeats, rounding out then the top 10. For Monaco Esports, Jaden Ladic will start 11th with Laurent Benso in 12th position overall in the 6th row of the grid. Alexei Nasov will start 13th with Christian Lamela in 14th position. Michael Jani and Jamie Moon will make up row 8. Row 9 will house Alexander Lauritsen, and Gustavo Ariel's just dropped out of the 10K iRacing Club. He starts then from what is 18th position. Kane Halliburton and Dino Filippa will round out the top 20 with Dominic Blyer and Damon Woods on row 11. All the drivers then after this are not going to be able to set a time. Andre Melchers, I do believe, will be up in 12th position, so that's the only thing there to say. So Melchers will not start from that position. But Elias Riker, Gabby Montoro, and Matthias Stolbeck Jensen will be the last drivers then on the grid, and they will be ordered by iRating as they will look to set themselves up. 2 minutes to get themselves set up, 22 laps worth of racing action today, and a very tough and fast opening corner in the form of the Nord curve. So keep that in mind as drivers look to sort themselves out then here today, because they will know and they will understand that they have got to make places early, quickly and effectively, and this is going to be a tough race to make that happen. Positioning might be key. Expect a lot of drivers to try and go out and get big points early here, especially when you consider this is the time, the place to go and get your points on the board, because I expect drivers who do not have a good round one might be really on the back foot. Green flag in the air. Horrible start from Oscar Irina, I believe it was, on the openings there, as he gets swamped by the field there. About 7-8 cars fly on through the opening section. Great battling off the start. One's gone around in the background. Gabby Montoro has spun, as well as someone else back there in the form of, I believe, Laurent Benso, but through the opening section of track. What an incredible battle we have at the front of the field, and crucially, getting the great start was Luke Bennett, who's got the race lead, but Lasse Bach's going to come back.
Really good, clean start, but yeah, at the front, horrible getaway. But relatively clean other than Benzo having a little spin at the back, and saying that there's been another incident at the back. Damon Woods around as well as Benzo at the back, so more controversy there. We've got some more around at the back of the hairpin too.
Yeah, Jaden Ladic getting turned around, and that was contact, I believe, with Christopher Dambeat. So a very hectic start, multiple incidents out there as they run into the arena section for the first time. Bennett pushing a little bit wide then, coming through Mobile 1 and running into the left-hander. Back gets almost up underneath and almost gives him a shot. Moving through then in the number 8, trying to position to take the lead. The Heuer Esports car in 3rd position of Luca Kita. Marina Marcheno in 4th position. Maggio Hansen inside the top 5 then after the opening laps worth of exchanges. So Important to find your points early. Important to find great places. And as they run into the Nord curve then for the second lap of this one, they know they're all going to have to be careful. 3 drivers with black and orange mechanical flag. Dominic Flyer, Damon Woods, Laurent Benso, all out essentially in the opening laps of this race. They have 17 instant points to play with as well, so they will have to be careful about how aggressive they be, Jay.
The other parts of that too is, remember, unlike other iRacing series on the official calendar, you don't get a second chance. This is one race for the week and that is it. So you've got to be very, very careful. Up the inside goes, who was that? Melcher's just losing a spot. So he's dropped down a couple of positions from the start.
Yeah, that is the recovering Oscar Irina, who has managed to make that move in the number 20 out there at the moment from Finland, and finding that pass quite nicely for the Heuer Esports team as they look to try and bolster their ranks in terms of the championship. Running forward then into the Sachs curve they come along. The top group all started to go through, and that group goes all the way back to 14th position right now, where it houses Alexander Lauritsen at this moment in time. So this is going to be important. The top 14 are clear, and there is a gap all the way back to Matthias Stolbeck Jensen, who has made 10 places off the start. One of your biggest gainers, actually, is Kane Halliburton, started 20th up to 12. We're on board with Lauritsen right now on the back of this train, and it's so crucial to stay within a 2-3-10th range when everybody is so close and so competitive.
The other part of that is you've got to be careful when you try and make the moves, because one bad attempt at a move could break the draft and cost you multiple potential opportunities later on down the track. So you'll be very careful to make sure your moves are 100% perfect when you go to make them. You'll be on at the front.
Could be on at the front indeed, and another little half look then from Lasse Bax, not going to get there in the fire car at this point in time. Knows that you can't afford to give up your positioning, and I tell you what, it will be interesting in the middle of the pack as well. Valentin Mandanak and Mohamed Ibrahim are going to be very interesting. Ibrahim, of course, races under the Malaysian flag, originally from India, and will be certainly looking for a good run here today moving forward. But the number 4 car at this point in time, Team Redline leading, and Team Redline as an entity, Jay, do feel like the Ferrari in terms of the history and legacy of sim racing.
100%. Feels like one of the original teams, doesn't it? Redline, you think Coanda has been around for forever. It's cool to see them have a bit of a resurgence. Team Redline, they've been a little bit more quiet lately, well, in recent time, but they're starting to make a bit of a resurgence, which is great to see. Luke Bennett starting to bridge a little bit of a gap at the moment too, so starting to pull away a tiny little bit.
Yeah, you start to see that gap slowly open for Luke Bennett. It is worth noticing that the reigning champion of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup does come from Team Redline, so there is very much a case that they're doing well. On board with the number 3 car of Luke Kita at this point in time, Fioreno at this point here. He looks to try and just stay within range, hit the brakes, run through onto this shortened run into this 90-degree hairpin. And it is very difficult because you have to carry a lot of speed in initially to effectively make it one turning effort, Jay, through that section. If you're too slow through that section, would you say you've got to dime it up as one of the Apex Academy cars now looks to fight side by side? And that's Halliburton fighting with Michael Janney, who's on the outside. Janney's there, and Lauritsen's trying to get the push. They're going to lose the train as they fight so incredulously at this point in time. And a big shot of the door from Kane Halliburton. Great defense.
That's what I was talking about before. The good overtake needs to be perfect, or else you'll lose the draft. Not quite able to get it done there was Michael Janney, and then all of a sudden they've lost the draft. Janney's going to end up losing a spot. Oh, a little bit of contact with him and Lauritsen.
Lauritsen pushing him out of the way. Matthias Stolkbeek Jensen is going to say thank you very much. That one is mine. And Michael Janney up through. A lot of damage, though, on the front for Christian Lamella in this Porsche 911 GT Cup 992 variation. So it looks like a lot of troubles there for the Spaniards. So we'll have to try and manage that damage as effectively as possible. And with no pit stop, if you've got damage in this series, Jay, you're going to be on the back foot for the entirety of the race.
Not just the race, it's the series as well, because you get damage in this one. This is going to be the highest strength of field we'll see all season, as we see drivers drop away as they realise where their true pace is. So not getting a good result in race 1 could basically spell the end for a few drivers. Very, very hard to get points back when you get almost a 0 in the first race.
Oh, absolutely. And we've seen it time and again. I don't believe there's a drop round in this series, so they are going to have to be reliant. And it is the sort of series as well, Jay, where it does pay to fight all the way to the end, because there might be a couple drivers, for example, who choose not to renew for another season here as they go through for the Porsche Esports Supercup. And that will ultimately give drivers who are 16th, 17th in this championship another opportunity to put their name into qualify.
Yeah, we don't know the exact number. We know that there's at least 15. There could be more. I mean, we know that there's a couple of drivers that are likely not to continue on and go through the contender process after this series. So, yeah, as you say, fighting on and trying to get every position, even if you're sitting 16th, 17th, 18th in the championship, that could get you through at the last minute. You may get the last second call up. So making sure you get every single point you can will be very, very crucial. This battle at the front, interesting. We saw that Luke Bennett started to pull away a little bit, but straight away that gap's closed back down again.
It has, and it just shows you that there are ebbs and flows in this race already on lap 6 here of 22. Luke Bennett has led every lap so far at the line. A bit of side-by-side all the way back for 10th as Lauritsen still has to try and scrap for position, and that then will be Stockbeg Jensen making the move then and gaining
He's
the
gained
place.
a lot of spots.
He absolutely has. Started at the back of the field here, Jay, and he's up 13.
Past half the cars in the race, and he's only done it in 5.5 laps. So if he keeps doing that, he'll be leading by the end of lap 11. Unlikely to happen, but still a very, very good drive and shows what he could have done if he got a qualifying lap in.
Absolutely does showcase that. Top 4 slowly starting to break away from Mads Johansson in 5th position. The number 10 in a little bit of trouble right now, and if the Apex driver loses outlet in terms of this gap, that's going to be trouble and dramas, because the gap is 0.8 of a second right now. Normally you need about 1 second to stay in drafting range. If he falls outside of that, Ibrahim and Mandanak and maybe even Dan Beats as well are going to be straight down his neck.
Yeah, exactly right. And they're not going to be too happy if he starts to lose the drive. Oh, big slide there from Johansson. So starting to feel pressure on those rear tyres. We did hear from a couple of drivers that we were chatting to pre-race that rear tyres are going to be very, very crucial, and you will have to manage them a little bit to make them last the full 22 laps, especially with the hot conditions we see here at the Hockenheimring. So making sure you manage your tyres is just as important as having good pace. I think Johansson's starting to struggle a little bit with that now.
It's actually quite important to talk weather. Track temperature here, in-sim time has just gone 10 past 4. It's 34 degrees. We look from the rear of Mads Johansson at this point in time. 34 degrees, see out on track. Winds from the south, 24 kilometers an hour. I think the wind's a bigger factor here today than anything else, as there's a battle right down in the back of the field. Entering the arena section, that's Elias Rijka, who is in a scrap right now, trying to get past Gustavo Ariel. Ariel, not having any of that, is going to hold on to position, but I'll tell you what, Elias Rijka is not giving up in the Monaco Esports car.
No, definitely not. He's trying to get that move done, but wasn't able to do it on that attempt. These guys have dropped a fair bit away from the rest of the group. Top 16 separated by 9 seconds, and there's a couple of second gap you can see there to the rest of the field in this group. So these guys fighting over literally the scraps at the moment. Interesting too, we were talking about that magical 1 second barrier. It has been broken. Top 4 are now 1 second away from Mads Johansson.
That means now Johansson could be in a little bit of trouble in the next couple of laps if Ibrahim can close up the gap at this point in time. On the brakes they go once again, into the hairpin, out then on track after running through the Parabolica. And it seems at the moment like it is all pretty much level stations at this point in time, Jay. They don't want to go out and make a move that is going to cost them 2 or 3 positions. That's why we see these holding patterns so often in these sim races, and part of it is because everyone is just so even, and it's not going to be the case that someone's got a better engine, for example, than someone else. It is completely equal machinery. It takes driver skill to make overtakes.
And the other part to that is too, there's not a huge amount of setup range in these cars. They're very stock standard, I guess, in certain aspects. I mean, there's a lot of adjustable elements, but there's not huge ranges of things that you can do. So most drivers will be running an almost identical car setup as well. The cars won't be too dissimilar. You'll be finding very, very minor differences. Those minor differences might be half a tenth of a second, and in a series like this, well, we saw 0.2 of a second separated the top 9 in qualifying. So that's huge if you can find yourself half a tenth of a second in pace in your setup.
Absolutely, half a tenth of a second could mean a whole lot. We jump on board with Simone Maria Marcheno, the Italian, now trying to find his way up through onto the podium here in this opening race in third position. It is worth talking points as well, Jay, because these strengths of fields, they are so strong right now that a driver in split 2 might have a really good points day today just because they are keeping out of trouble in comparison to some drivers here in this top split who maybe have a bad day today, like Dominic Plyer, like Damon Woods, for example.
Yeah, exactly right. There's, judging by my horrible maths, I think around about 7th position in this race should be equal to a win in Split 2. And Split 2, highly competitive. We were talking about how much iRating you needed to get into this race. Into that race, it was around about 7,700 strength of field. So you needed over 7,500 iRating to get into second split. It's incredible how competitive the qualifying is for this series. But when you've got so much money on the line, no surprise.
No surprises at all. 1, 2, 3, and 4 running through the opening section. That huge curve at the Nord curve. So inviting for all of these drivers to go out there and attack. Bennett from back, from Kita to Simone Maria Marcheno in 4th position. They're building that gap up to 1.3 seconds to the group behind, and slowly it is starting to open up. It's about 6/10 between Lasse Bach and Luca Kita at this point in time. Luca's got to try and find a way to close this down because we're almost at the halfway stage of the race. Lap 10 here of 22.
And again, Kane Halliburton, we saw him earlier, now well and truly broken behind that next group, but he's doing everything in his powers to hold on to this spot for P12. He had the elbows out. The defensive game is strong, but it just feels like it's a matter of time for this move to get done. And Matthias Stolbeck Jensen getting into P12, I don't think it's too far away from happening.
Stockbeck Jensen definitely has a chance of getting through on the Apex Tech car, and that is a new team then for Kane Halliburton, and a team built around the work that has been done by Jamie Conway and Chris Barrett and all of the team over there who are really expanding. Kane Halliburton is a great driver added into their works at this point in time. That's the 3rd group at the moment defending, because I tell you what, the battle for 5th is about, or was close, but what an amazing turn 1 I've just seen off camera from Madja Hansen against Mohamed Ibrahim. It's completely shut down any chance of making the pass, and it's crucial to find the key points on the track, Jay, where you can find an extra 10th on your rivals.
Yeah, exactly right. We saw earlier Hansen really struggling through turn 2, was well, the exit into turn 3 was just all sorts of crossed up and struggling for rear grip. So to see him now sort of bring it back, I guess maybe he's managed the tyres a little bit better than we thought originally, as Loretzen's starting to lose positions there. He's just lost a spot there to Michael Janney.
Yeah, Janney just got an amazing run out of the Einfahrt Parabolica turn 2 and was able to just use that momentum, gather it through and really gain an advantage. It does put on the back of Lauritsen here, who is in a bit of trouble out there, is actually going to drop the spot then voluntarily to Christian Lamella. Now, there was no slowdown penalty or anything like that, just gave the spot away, and I wonder whether he thinks Lamella's got a better chance of making a move in comparison to the likes of, say, Michael Janney.
Yeah, I don't disagree there with that one either. It's all side by side here. This is 9th, 10th, 11th. It's Nezov trying to hold on. Got 2 trying to get past him here. Sorry, Rennie and Melcher's trying to get through. Not able to do so, but this has turned into a little bit of a fiery pack. Some drivers, I think, starting to get a little bit impatient with being stuck behind everyone else.
Well, it's the second half of the race. They're going to have to start attacking as Melchers to the inside will have to go the long way around at turn 3 and using all of the road to defend there. Oscar Irina doing more than enough to cover off the move, to cover off the overtake and do a very good job. But Melchers is going to come straight back at the inside here, get that sent and delivered. What a pass by Andre Melchers.
Beautiful move. Well done to get that done. And there's been a bit of controversy behind Sperry. Kane Halliburton, we were watching him earlier. Yeah, he got a little bit of contact, and then wow.
I think maybe a slow down penalty there
Yeah,
would have come through.
Oh, yeah,
and so, look, he's gone that far wide. He'll get a slow down penalty. He'll have to serve it. So through will go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I believe it's Gustavo Ariel who jumps up onto the scene in the number 1. He takes the natural racing line. Ariel jumps to the inside. And you have to say at that point, he had such a massive overspeed, he had to go to the inside. And I think it was just a case of a little bit too slow to the party there from Halliburton to really defend. Battle for the race lead continuing on here with 10 laps to go at the Hockenheimring.
It's a little controversial, but yeah, I agree. I think Halliburton, when he looks back at that later on, I mean, he's already decided to rage quit and leave the race. He's decided to DNF from that point, but he'll look back at that and think, oh, maybe I should have done better in the way that I served that slowdown. And then where I position my car, he'll look back at that review and go, yeah, maybe I didn't do enough right there. Wow, how was that under the brakes for Luca Kita?
Oh, Luca Kita absolutely closing that up in the Heuer Esports car, doing everything right at this moment to just keep that in range, that gap extended out for a little bit, closed back in again. But I tell you what, you have to give credit to Mads Johansson in 5th position because he hasn't let that gap drop too far out in this race. It's only 1.6 to Simone Maria Marcheno over the line, which means that group of 3 or 4 behind, Ibrahim, Mandanart, Danbeat, they're all still within a shot here of picking up potentially a podium if things go awry at the front, and they have been just slowly getting closer and closer to a battle. Ibrahim getting very close then through the penultimate corner into the Sud curve of the track and away from the drag strip there at the final corner and onto that front stretch once again.
And we've seen how quickly the race can turn sour for anyone. It's only going to take one slowdown penalty, one lock-up, one minor error for this lead group of 4 to all of a sudden have that next group of 4 in amongst it. There's a little bit of a slide there, a little bit of understeer through the mid-corner there for Lasse Back. So did a very, very good job to still get momentum out of the corner, but just didn't look comfortable the way the car was behaving through the mid-corner there. But Luca Kita again, he looks so good under brakes right here.
Well, there is confidence there from Luca Kita at this point in time. That might be his corner that he's trying to attack. They go through the Mercedes 90-degree left-hander, and then you've got this sweeping section that moves into the right. You're trying to open up that corner as much as possible. Be cautious on the exit, and there is always that ability to spin off the exit of that curve because of the way that it effectively divots as it goes through and tries to deal with drainage system that it has around this Hockenheimring circuit.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of getting used to the angles that appear there, doesn't it? It's a little bit wacky when you compare it to other parts of the track. Come across the line to finish lap 14, only 8 to go. Luke Bennett has led every single lap, but it has not been as easy as you would think. He's had a lot of pressure from behind, and he's doing a very, very good job to stymie that pressure.
He has. He's kept up a really nice cadence, which has effectively meant that Lasse Back hasn't had a chance to make a move out there at this moment in time, running into the Einfahrt Parabolica. And again, off exit is the key for Luke Bennett. That's where he's trying to maximise because it gives as little as possible to Lasse Back to go out there and attack in towards the next section. This is the prime place to get it done. Under braking into this right. Lasse Back looking behind him. Luca Kita gets right up underneath again, but crucially not alongside. I think Luca wants to make a move, but he doesn't want to drop time.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's more cautious about losing a spot or 2 or 3 or causing an incident that would cause him to drop all the way back as Lasse Back gets a little caught up on that curb. Yeah, he's being probably a little bit more cautious than he needs to be, but he's also playing it smart. A 3rd position in this race could be the equivalent of a win in 2-3 races time. So take the points now while you can and then fight on for another day. No point risking a 3rd and end up in 7th or 8th or DNFing the race.
Absolutely. Points are so valuable as a resource. It was a case of now, do you want to have third position or do you want to try and jump up to second but potentially lose all your points? Good battle going on a little bit further back here as they run in towards the opening corners once again. Nesov, Melchers and Oscar Irina now back into 11th position. So Melchers now trying to find a way past the Ukrainian Alexei Nesov out then at this point in time, and Nesov runs a little bit wide, which will open up Melchers for an opportunity, and Melchers has had himself a really good ability to make those moves. Does have that bit of damage to the front left. It will be front right as you see it as they run through, and Melchers lunging for the inside. In front of that there's also another move, and almost turning Nesov there. Through goes Andre Melchers, but on top of that, Ibrahim's had enough. He's through on Mads Johansson.
Almost an identical move as well. Up the inside, big dive, and now the difference here is Mads Johansson saw it come. Oh, a little bit more contact than I thought there was on the first look there. So that was potentially a little bit controversial, that moment there.
I think that was firm but fair racing. You have to be prepared to have a little bit of contact in these GT Cup style Porsche 911 992s, so you have to be alert to that. Traffic gets out of the way of the leaders and dives into the pits. That's Laurent Benso, who's not going to gain any more positions than that. May as well park the car at this point, but front four looking good. 7 laps to go. Now ticks down to 6 as we run through the opening corner, the Nord curve, out on track, and once more Bennett back, Kita, and then Simone Maria Marcheno in 4th. They have really now got a gap. It's 2 seconds to Ibrahim because they did battle on that last lap. But I tell you what, Johansson's going to be wounded here on this lap because Valentin Mandanak is all over him looking for a chance now coming up the Einfahrt Parabolica.
The other part of that too, now that the gap behind is a little bit bigger, maybe that opens up the opportunity for a little bit more lunging potential to overtake. Don't have to stress so much about that secondary group now that it's 2 seconds plus for the group behind. It'll be interesting to watch in the next couple of laps. If they can stretch it out to 3.5, 4 seconds with 2 to go, we might see some real big lunges in that lead group to try and steal a win.
We might do, and that could be crucial. Drivers like Lasse back. Tell you what, 3 L's leading the race. Luke, Lasse and Luca at this point in time are all trying to hold on to this race, and they want to make sure that they are starting the season off with the best possible points they can, because they know, Jay, that if you start off with a victory, you know that you've got yourself a real carrot on a stick to say, I only need maybe 4 good results now, 4 decent results, and I've guaranteed my qualification place.
Exactly right. You just need to make sure you gain as many points as you can while you can get them. There's this big moment there from Netsov out of the final corner. He just lost the spot to Rainey to regain a couple of spots. Remember, he started on position 3. He's got himself back up to 10th after that horrible launch off the line. But starting to slowly make inroads. Interesting as well, now that Ibrahim is clear of that group, he has broken away from the group behind and he's closing on that lead group. Last lap by 0.4 of a second faster than Simone Maria Marcheno ahead.
Oh, and just behind him through looks Mandanak trying to get this position. Johansson on the outside is going to keep the nose in there. He'll have the inside at the 90-degree left-hander of Mercedes. Can he get that sorted? They'll remain too wide then for the next right-hander, and this is the crucial corner, and crucially, there is not enough grip for Mads Johansson on that outside track. So Valentin Mandanak does a brilliant job and jumps up into 6th position. But you're absolutely right, Jay. Mohamed Ibrahim at 24.7. The lead 4 were doing 25 flats and 25 ones.
A mistake there for Mandanak in through the arena, that he managed to almost diamond off the corner and get a better run out. But it opened the door a little bit for Mads Johansson to maybe have a look. This lap by, we'll have a little look at the times here. The leader's doing 25.0s and 24.9 for Ibrahim, so not able to make as much inroad.
Back. Lasse back then with a mistake, and it's opened the door up for Luca Kita, but he can't find a way through to make the pass with 4 laps to go. Simone Maria Marcheno looks to try and really open up the corner behind. He can't find a way through, but Lasse back through the opening corner then. First time we've really seen a mistake, and it looked like he was struggling, had to really fight the car at the exit of turn 1 to make sure it was pointing in a straight line, and that's how easily you can get out of shape here at the Hockenheimring.
Interesting too, Mohammed Ibrahim was within a second of that lead group now, so he's closing in quick. So I think, I say Back's loss of time there may have actually come from a minor error from Luke Bennett ahead, which we didn't really notice because it was exacerbated by Lasse Back.
That could potentially have been the case. So there is that to understand and worry about, but it has given Luke Bennett, the first time in a little while, a little bit of breathing room, and slightly pushing a bit deep then goes Lasse Back, and Luke Kita has pretty much got his eyes fixed on how he gets past the Fire Sim Sport car just in front. It is going to be a tough challenge to get that pass done, but he is also running out of laps. They'll be down to just 3 laps to go here at the Hockenheimring. Luke Bennett, that gap now 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, he's just got a little bit of breathing room now, doesn't he? He doesn't have a huge amount of room, but enough that he can maybe lock the brakes once and not stress too much about it. So a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a chance for him to clear his mind, not stress too much about what's happening behind. And it'll be the first time all race he's being able to look in the mirror and not stress about what's happening behind. Unless they back, well, now he's really going to have to defend, isn't he? He's going to have to work really hard to hold this spot because Luca Kita looks so much stronger. Just can't quite get enough pace to get the move done.
Kita actually there was earlier on the brakes, but he released off of the brake a lot quicker then through that section, and that's why he's gaining the time, because he's lifting off the brake and a little bit slower to scrub the speed in comparison to Lasse Back. But that gap certainly isn't changing, and Mohammed Ibrahim is closing it down. Another 0.4 on that last lap, and will be very soon in the window. 0.7 of a second. It might have to be the last lap for Ibrahim to jump up into 4th position, and he can be a live wire when he wants to.
100%. Great to see the pace that he's got in this race. So looking forward to seeing what he can do once he's there, because he'll get draft down through the Parabolica this time, and he'll be able to close that gap down rather quickly, you would feel. 2 laps to go, though, in this first race of the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Supercup qualifying series.
And another 300ths in favour of Luke Bennett, who is starting to stretch that gap a little bit to 0.6 of a second. Seems so alien to say that 0.6 is enough to win, but at this stage, at this point in time, it is, and it really does show. Unless Lasse Back, who's just had an absolutely amazing section through 2 and 3, can find something to close that gap down, it's completely mitigated Luca Kita, and suddenly this pack's getting stretched out.
Yep. Exactly right. The pack is a bit of a mistake there from Luca Kita through the mid-corner, but he's able to hold on. Not going to lose any spots, but it has meant that the gap between he and Back a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, and you would have to say now, Mohammed Ibrahim is well and truly in this pack for the lead.
Watch out for battles further back as we enter the final lap after this arena section. Dan Beats and Melchers will be one to definitely keep an eye out on in the final stages of this race. So we've still got, though, your front 5 now, as it is, trying to close down and find one final overtake in this race, as they will come here in iRacing to the white flag lap and try and push for as much as possible here in this final section. A little dip into the gravel from Lasse Back, who's trying to really use all of the road available to him. This is the all-important lap that you've just got to either A, hold station, or B, close in. The gap extending once more to nearly 0.8 of a second, and it's like Luke Bennett has just put on the afterburners, and there is not much, Jay, that Lasse Back can do except look behind at the train that's starting to grow. Melchers has just sent one down the inside of Dan Beats.
Yeah, he just did, and is he able to get it done? No, not quite, although he's going to have the inside into the hairpin up ahead. There's going to be no change of position through the hairpin, but I'll tell you what, Dan Beats trying to hold it around the outside, but he's not going to be able to do it. He's fought valiantly. Oh, I tell you what, he's done very, very well. No contact there, a little bit of almost wheel rubbing, but wow, he's done a great job. I did not think he could hold on to that.
Yeah, but Melchers is going to come straight back up underneath. Try and go the long way around. He's still on the outside for the next corner. Melchers, surely with the pass of the race. What a pass. I have to cover it off here with Dan Beats trying to find a way around the outside and at the arena. He's not going to find it. Brilliant work that goes through. Top 5 have remained undisturbed then on this final lap, And for Luke Bennett, who took the race lead at the opening corner, he hasn't looked back, and he has done sensationally to get himself into position. Red line on top, and Luke Bennett will come to the line and win here at the Hockenheimring. Lasse Bach will take second, Luca Kita third, and Simone Maria Marcheno in fourth position. Melchers, in the end, does defeat Danbeats in that late scrap, that late battle towards the end, but an incredible race in terms of how everyone had to work to pretty much 100% to keep themselves in their respective groups. What a drive from Luke Bennett in the 4.
Yeah, well done. Incredible drive. Well-deserved victory there. He's deserved a huge points haul for that horrible launch for Scary Rennie. He'll be absolutely dreading what happened at that start there, to drop from 3rd back to 12th. He got himself back into 10th, but Luke Bennett getting the move done over Lasse Bach at the start of the race. Congratulations, winner.
Winner indeed. Diogo Pinto, of course, the reigning champion, and another red line driver has just picked up the first victory then of the qualifying series. Luke Bennett, in 31 minutes and 13 seconds, wins by a margin of 1.1 seconds over the Dane Lasse Bach in second position. Luca Kita will finish up in third, with Simone Maria Marcheno fourth, and the top 5 rounded out by the number 23 of Muhammad Ibrahim, who did so well on pure pace to bring back the front group. Valentin Mandanak will finish off in 6th position, with Mads Johansson in 7th, and Andre Melchers, surely with an incredible drive, made pass after pass today to jump up into 8th. Christopher Danbeats would lose out that position on the final lap in 9th, with Oscar Irina having to recover after a very heavily wheel spin style start. He only manages 10th position overall. Alexei Nasov will finish off in 11th position, a gain of 3. And from the back of the field, Matthias Stockberg Jensen will finish up in 12th, a gain of 14 here today. Michael Janney and Christian Lamella are 13th and 14th respectively, with Alexander Lauritsen finishing off in 15th position. Elias Reicher will go into 16th come the end, with Jamie Moon in 17th, exactly where he started this race, and Gabby Montoro in 18th position. Troubles today for Dylan Burst. He drops back to 19th. Gustavo Ariel finding contact with Kane Halliburton. He rounds out the top 20. And then the drivers who did finish on the leading lap included Jaden Ladich, who was turned around on the opening lap, and Dino Filippa, the Argentine. But 4 drivers then not finding the results that they wanted. Laurent Benso, the Frenchman, with Kane Halliburton retiring the car, along with lap 1 and lap 2 dramas for Damon Woods and Dominic Blyer, both of them out of the race in the early stages as they go through. Predicted 468 points for position number 1. And Jay, they head to the home of Formula Racing. They head to the biggest circuit in the United Kingdom. They head to Silverstone. Absolutely. P1 and Split 2 is the equivalent of Position 3 in Split 1. So there is a lot to unpack, and points are going to be so hard to come by in this series. You need to be at your absolute best. But this here has been an incredible start to an incredible 6-week series, and a massive thanks, of course, has to go to everyone who has been working hard behind the scenes at SimSpeed TV to get this to you, ladies and gentlemen. We are not done here tonight with racing action, of course. In just about under half an hour's time, we're going to be gearing up for the iRacing Grand Prix series, so stay with us with SimSpeed TV. But from Jay Kennedy and myself, Jake Sperry, that, in terms of Luke Bennett, was a masterclass of leading from the front. Takes the race lead, does not look back, and under any pressure, he did not leave a single offering on the table for the likes of Lasse Bach, Luca Kita, or Simone Maria Marcheno to find a move. Will it be the same again when they head to Silverstone, or will there be a new twist in the tail as a different driver jumps up to the top of the standings? We'll find out when we head to Silverstone 1 week from today. Stay with us. In just about 25 minutes, we've got open wheel action in the Mercedes W12 E-Performance.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get involved!
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?